Those guys probably should have just asked him what a venue like that would take simply from the deal to the ideas too.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Are we recording? Thank you for attending the Mills County Zoning Board of Adjustment. Can I get a roll call, please?
Collins,
Here.
Golka,
Here.
Light,
Here.
Warren, Gentlemen, here.
Okay, please note Warren is absent. Okay, can I get a review and action and approval of the current meeting agenda?
Motion to approve.
A motion from Ted. Second from Pat. Thank you. Can I get a review, action, and approval of the previous meeting minutes of August 19th, 2025? Motion by Pat. Second by Ted. All right. Thank you. First item up for business is the discussion and formal action on a conditional use permit 25-08, the CUP 223, for the proposed resource extraction for a limestone quarry involving on-site extraction of surface and or subsurface mineral products or natural resources, excluding site grading for a specific construction project or preparation of a site for subsequent development located in northeast Mills County off Highway 59 in the Anderson Township. It is in the agricultural zoning district. If the applicant's ready, we are ready for the presentation.
All right, good evening, board. I'm Seth Wise representing Shelters Construction. I also have Brandon Montgomery here with me. He's our engineer / environmental manager. And Brandon was just recently named to the State Soil Conservation and Water Quality Committee of the Iowa Department of Agriculture and Land Stewardship. It's a 12-member committee appointed by the Iowa Secretary of Agriculture and Ag. It's a huge accomplishment and we're super proud of him. I just wanted to share that. So we have two items to ask the board today. First off, back in March, the board granted us a conditional use permit to open a limestone quarrying operation in Mills County. Since then, we purchased two adjacent parcels, which in turn we're here to ask to be included in the permit. With the inclusion of these two parcels, we hope that it will add longevity to quarry operations, help with storage of overburden from the first few cuts, and to give us another option for a permanent stockpile plant site. Oh, and up here, so just northeast of Henderson, this is the parcels that were zoned in March. And our proposed two parcels here are just adjacent to these two, and that's what we're looking to add into this permit. So our vision, we talked before, our vision is to still start our quarry pit in the south section. As we talked before, initially, we had talked having a temporary stockpile plant site in this location off of Highway 59. And as we progressed to the north, we were going to swap it down to this south section. But with the acquisition of these two parcels here, we thought the best case or best scenario would be to build a permanent stockpile plant site right off the get-go with entrances and exits to Applewood Road. You've seen this map before. As the yellows is going to be the quarry pit as it progresses north. The green is going to be the reclamation that's going to follow it as it progresses north for the lifetime of this quarry. And here, this is as we progress, 10 to 15 years. This parcel here, it's going to give us the opportunity to widen this quarry pit, to help potentially help the lifespan and add a few years to the quarry operations here, and followed by the reclamation. This is just going to follow reclamation in and out. Just another 5-year progression here. It shows here how we have the possibility of if coring to the left or to the west towards Highway 59, there's potential there. So again, longevity is key here too, and the progression with the reclamation in that too. And this is just going to show it in and out, progressing to the north with the reclamation. And to the final quarry pit here to the very far northeast section, reclamation up to that. So, you know, by adding these two parcels, hopefully it helps to add some longevity to the quarry operations. And I think the permanent stockpile yard, not having to move it around twice, I think that is a benefit, especially maybe coming off this county road here. Do you guys have questions?
Any questions?
The second item is, last time we were here, the board said that we were going to be required to have a third-party engineering service to observe the progression of the operations. We're highly regulated on both federal and state level, and we're going to go ahead and ask the board if it's possible to do this in-house with our own engineering. I'm going to have Brandon speak a little bit about how we are governed and to show a little bit of information on these slides that we have to provide on a monthly basis.
Okay, first of all, two permits we have. They're NPDES permits, National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. They're through the DNR. One of ours covers the stormwater discharge. The other is for processed water, mainly pump water in our case. But with the general permit number 3, our stormwater permit, we're required to develop and maintain a stormwater pollution prevention plan. And part of that, we have a map. We perform monthly site inspections. This is just an example of a map. So all of our control structures are identified. They're all labeled. They all have individual names so that each one is individually inspected. The kind of an inspection sheet here outlining what we're looking for, each individual with control structure. As they're being inspected, checked off. If there's any sort of issues or whatever, it's noted in corrective actions. And then they go through different things like good housekeeping, spill prevention, sediment erosion control, dust control, excavation area and equipment, material processing, storage areas and equipment, soil stockpiles, reclamated areas. Those all get inspected on a monthly basis and then filed into the stormwater pollution prevention plan. So.
And you fill those out?
Yes, I do. Or we have a guy in training right now. I'm a state certified stormwater inspector, the ICIP program. That at all.
How are you regulated at the Crescent Quarry? Do you do your own there? I mean, I understand that this is your signature on that, so
yeah,
there's not a third party on that.
No.
Yeah, he at every single one of our locations. This is how we keep track of it month in month out. So,
Matt, do you remember why we asked for a third party?
I have the third party inspection in there as a condition to this. It was really based on the other soil. It's on a soil extraction permit that was granted, conditional use that was granted for. A little bit different of an operation. They were just going for soil. They did not employ an engineer on their staff. So they're a little bit unique in what they do, where they do employ engineers. They do have the stormwater certifications that go along with that. I wouldn't see really an issue with them submitting those reports to us because they do have those people on their staffs. And it's not, so when you think like, yeah, well, they might employ them, but being an engineer, I mean, he has to fill this paperwork out correctly and submit it to the state. So, I mean, nothing's getting looked over.
Okay.
You do have an in-house engineer.
okay. Yeah, there won't be any dirt extracted off-site. And typically, there may be only 3 to 6 months of worth of progression a year, and that's on the high side. You know, we're not in there extracting dirt and moving dirt twice a year, typically. You know, if demand is high, you know, you need a mega center come out, you know, and in Southwest Iowa, and they're dire need for hundreds of thousands of tons of rock, maybe in that scenario, it would change. But no dirt's going off site, and you can do a crushing in there a year, and 3 months is typically what it takes to remove the overburden or move it. And so yeah, 3 to 6 months out of the year is all the progression you're gonna see. And day and day, it's gonna be very minute throughout the years. I mean, we're talking about 30-year quarry possibly. So you take it back that 6 months out of the year, it's gonna be exactly the same. Okay, but we will monitor erosion control.
Thank you. This time, is there any public comment? Is there any letters or any emails? Okay. Okay, we'll close public comment, and we can now go into the staff report.
Staff recommendation on it is to approve the application for the CU source extraction. Listed out in the staff report for you, the exact same conditions that, since we had just done the other conditional use permit, they're the same. That's that the applicant will obtain a grading permit from the county. The applicant will secure the state permit from the Iowa DNR. Number 3 is the condition that they just addressed, where I have the applicant will obtain third-party inspection reports showing that the site is in compliance with the engineered grading plan as submitted. Those reports will be submitted each month to the building department for review until the grading portion of the project is complete. Number 4 is that the applicant will secure building permits for any improvements to the site, such as installation of a scale house. Number 5 is that the applicant will secure the necessary septic and well permits to support the site and the employees. It's based on the following findings of fact. Number 1, the property is located in a Class A agricultural district. The zoning ordinance adopted in conjunction with the land use plan stipulate that resource extraction is a permitted conditional use in the district. Number 2 is that Mills County, Southwest Iowa have a limestone shortage, and that the gravel from the site will support the roads and.
Okay. Thank you. Moving to board discussion. With no opposition at all, and then also seeing that the site actually is larger, I mean, it kind of cleans up the site. I have no issues with it at all.
There's been no issues with the site since we issued the permit, correct?
I don't believe that they started.
Nothing has happened with the site.
No, on the original site, they weren't.
No, they started that, they permitted in March. So the other,
I think they're a very reputable company, a good family. They've had a great history in our county. I would be happy to make a motion to approve, and also eliminate number 3 bullet, that they can have their own in-house engineer to create the reports as needed. So
Okay.
I guess I'll make a motion to approve with the following conditions, as Matt said: grading permit, state permit for DNR, third-party inspection reports could be from in-house engineering, secure building permits, necessary septic and well permits.
motion by Pat, we have a second.
I'll second.
We have a second from Ted. Can I get a roll call, please?
Collins,
Yes.
Volca,
Yes.
Light,
Yes.
Warren's absent, gentlemen. Yes.
And I'd just like to clear up that number 3, that it won't be a third party, it'll be an inspection from an in-house licensed engineer.
We know that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can do it right here. Yeah.
He had the measure button. I thought you had it. No,
Oh,
like, let him control. It's like blown away.
you guys are free.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, tonight's second item is the discussion and formal action on the conditional use application 25-09 CUP 224 for a proposed wedding and event venue involving a small-scale event space to host private gatherings, receptions, and weddings. Located at 25589 Gaston Avenue. It's in Glenwood in the Center Township. It is in the AR district. If the applicant's ready, we're ready for your presentation.
Thank you all for allowing us to come and speak, but I'm Troy Moore. It's my wife, Carrie Moore. We are looking to get a special use permit. And I guess right out of the gate, I just kind of want to make it clear that when it says events, our desire is just do small venue weddings. So it's 125 people or less. So I just kind of want to make sure everybody understands that we're not looking to do graduation parties, birthday parties. This is not a something that's going to be open all the time. It's going to be a very special event type of deal. My wife, you may know her, she has been a florist for about 8 years in the area, has identified the opportunity for a small venue, and just talking with many brides over the years. So that is why we desire to do this. She has a heart to help in that area. Again, 125 max is where we're going to be as far as the size of our venue, which makes also the parking that we're looking to do on the property very minimal. Truly, probably 70 cars or less. And just to talk about parking and maybe traffic, we have a desire to make the event and the whole property look like it's just an acreage. So when people aren't there, there's not going to be concrete and gravel and all kinds of unsightly things. We're going to use what's called a true grid paver. It's a route, and it basically allows us to operate it as a lawn when nobody's there, but it gives the ability to park on it as well when we do have an event. So we are also going to be living on the property. We're building a house right next to this proposed spot. So we will be there at all times for that. But that also gives us the opportunity to actually have 2 lanes to make traffic flow very simple and efficient, so that when people are coming and or going, it's done quickly and without too much backup. We have talked about, though, if we do need somebody to initiate, some traffic flow, we would hire that additionally for these events if that was necessary. Again, very small, so it's going to be very niche, and it's not going to be open for everything. As far as from a noise perspective, I know that's going to be something that people are going to want to know about. We are researching measures to keep all the noise and light, for that matter, on the property. From acoustics to whatever it might be, we're going to take every measure possible to not let that go out. We envision this not being any more noisy than what we hear the train go by at 5 o'clock every morning. So that is our true desire. Most of what's happening is going to be inside the building and not outside, so it's not going to be, all this public noise going on. Again, traffic flow, we're going to make it minimum. A lot of it's going to come from the west side of the property and coming from Glenwood. So as far as, where a majority of the people live that are around us, I don't think it's going to get to them. We are going to set parameters for our events, for our weddings, that the music will be done at 11 p.m. And that we will have everyone off the property by midnight, cleaned up and off the property by midnight. So just to make you aware of that, again, we'll be living next door on 25587 Gaston Ave. We're building a structure there. we are also gonna take steps to work with fire and rescue, so with the Glenwood and with Silver City to make sure that all emergency plans are in place before we ever open the door, to make sure that everybody understands exactly what needs to happen. We have also, I have several friends who are retired police officers. We've also talked about security measures, things like that, we will have that hired and on grounds when needed for that stuff. I apologize, Seth kind of stole thunder. You brought that nice presentation. I didn't have one to throw up there for you, but I do have a map of the property. I don't know if you guys were provided that. I know I sent one. I have one color, you all, but I do have it mapped out on the property where everything would be. I will tell you where the actual building is going to be. It's going to be a cathedral look to it, and it's going to be down with almost 8 foot of wall all around it, which is going to help with the sound, plus, you know, whatever measures we come up with to help with that as well. Any questions from you guys? I don't really have a whole lot more than what I've already.
Can you walk us through the colors since ours is
Absolutely, yep. So we'll just start on the very left side of the paper. That is going to be our house.
over here, this
So
rectangle?
that's on 25587. So that's actually on the property next door. There's actually 2 parcels here. Now I won't guarantee it's going to be in that exact spot, but that's about where it's going to be. The in red outlines is where we would have available parking and where we would.
I don't see red.
Right,
Really?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you got it?
You should have one.
Oh,
Actually,
right there. Never mind, sorry.
I could probably take yours if you want.
That's okay.
But anyways,
You got it,
the
here it is.
the bigger outline is the park.
Thanks, Audrey, you're the best.
And so that's what I've identified where the true grid pavers are gonna be, and it's gonna look just like a lawn. It's not gonna look like a parking lot. It's on.
Do you have any of those bigger ones, pictures to hand around, or you just have the one?
I just have the one, but you're more than welcome to it. I can take a black and white.
You just show it. Yeah, we can look at that.
Yeah. You guys wanna look at that? Can I have one in black and white? Sure, I'll just make sure.
Can you make copies of it quick? Is that hard to do?
I can do it.
I'm sorry, I would
That's
have
a lot
brought one.
better map. That's a lot better map than the one we got.
I'll wait until she makes some comments.
Black and white.
Yeah, it looks like some of the parking line is show up at all on this one.
But from the map, it looks like you got neighbors to the east and west.
I have, yes, we do.
And when you look on like Google Maps, it looks like that would be your east neighbors. There's a big row of trees down the property,
There is actually 2 rows.
2 rows of trees.
Yep. Plus we'll be, Carrie has a design idea as far as planting more trees that's gonna be right along the building and going to the back of the property.
So what's on your east property line right now?
Trees.
Trees.
We got trees.
Trees you can't see through or just?
No, you can see through because we've cleaned up a lot of the garbage trees, but we're gonna be planting more between us and that western neighbor. After we get the house built, we get the septic in and things like that. We'll be planting more trees, but yes, the Hawns live to the west of us.
And to your south, it's just an open field right now.
It is an open field, yeah.
All these guys.
Yep, and an open field on the other side of the road. The map also does not show that second driveway, I don't believe. And when you get the colored ones, you'll see that where the new house is going on 25587, the lane is just directly to the north of that house.
So it's showing a little house there now.
So there is a farmhouse on there that we live in right now.
Okay.
And I'll explain what we're gonna be doing. So yeah, so if you look at just where the pink box is and straight to the north of that, that is where the new lane is. It's already in place. So that would be our second lane, and we would create an in and an out for the events coming through that lane. The red is where we would put all the pavers for the parking. Again, that's That's the true grid. It would look just like a lawn. You're not really even gonna know it's parking. Other than you're able to drive on it, and we will basically make the parking spots available each time we have the event. So the white box at the north end on the east, that is the current house that's there. That will be used truly just for the bridal party to get ready. That's what we're gonna utilize that for. The yellow box just to the south of that house will be where Carrie's floral shop will be. And typically we'll probably make that into something like where the grooms get ready to start out anyway. And then the green box to the back and south and east side of the property, that is actually where the venue is going to be. There's already a red building there that will be replaced, but and then that orange box that you see on the very east side, that is down the road, could be the groom room kind of thing, you know, that we would build a separate building for.
And there's nothing there now.
There's nothing there. No,
But the existing home has well and septic.
it does.
Is there any other well and septic on the property?
There is not.
For your venue, how far is that from your east property line?
The venue would be about, I did not measure it, Pat, but it would be about 20 feet.
What would it be from the actual neighbor's house?
From the what?
From the actual neighbor's house to your east?
Oh, Larry's here. Huh?
230 feet.
There you go, 230 feet. And I guess I'll just finish by saying, I mean, and then you guys keep asking me questions, but Carrie and I are the type of people, we're gonna do everything we possibly can to be neighborly and do everything we can to make this not a nuisance for anybody. We hope to have fun with it. We hope that others around us will have fun with it as well, but that's just the kind of people we are. We'll take into considerations. If anybody ever has a problem, they can come and talk to us. But yeah, that's really all I've got.
Okay, we might come back with some questions here in a little while, but
Sure.
right now, and I'm just gonna remind everybody on public comment, you can come up and you're speaking only to the board, you're not speaking to the applicants. You're gonna limit yourself to 3 minutes. If what you're gonna say is similar or the same thing as the person before you, you can come up and state your name and say, I agree, or I go along with, or I disagree, or whatever it may be. So at this time, we'll go into public comment.
Hello, my name is Larry Hellman. My wife Chris just handed out a map of kind of layout of our property is in the marked in the red. The house, the westernmost part of our house is 230 feet away from the venue. The property line, like Troy said, is right there, right? And the trees are on our side. So the shelter belt that's there now is on our fence, basically. This is not a personal thing at all. The Moores have been friends of ours since, well, for multiple years. Professionally, it's not even. I hope that when it goes in, I hope they find a place for it. But an agricultural residential area is not the right place for a venue that has music 25 weekends out of here. Went through and did some research on many things, and I did write a letter. I don't know if you were given the letter or not, but I put some time into it. Okay.
We received all the letters.
Okay. All right. So the land use compatibility and the county strategic development neighborhood character. The character of the neighborhood would be changed. No doubt about it. The venue noise, event attendees, and operating hours. At midnight doesn't sound like much, but you know, when I've got grandkids, I have 6 of them now, thank God. that come and visit and we're wanting to do something outside, but we have music or we have a venue going on. We have, you know, whatever people are doing, whatever 125 people tend to do when they're at a wedding, they tend to be loud, right? And I don't think that that is consistent with an agricultural residential neighborhood. The property valuation, I would say that their increase in the property of their property will increase dramatically because who was there before didn't take care of it like they did. And they've done a lot of great things with it. However, who wants to buy a place that sits next to a venue that is operating in the community? Not very many people. So I think that saleability would be definitely impacted by that. I went through and did some research on the Iowa code and on the zoning ordinance. The 27, section 27, classified property, we all know what that is. It's a agricultural residential. It means you live there and or you do agricultural things. We have livestock there. We have horses. Horses tend to be scared of noise, and so they're out in our pasture. And when we used to have illegal fireworks going off, or when we have legal fireworks going off now, he runs. He wants to jump the fence. I can only imagine what will happen when multiple people, multiple cars, lots of people around. Bananas until he. You guys can grant a variance that will not be contrary to the public interest. I don't think this is in our public interest. The neighborhood that's there. The literal enforcement of the regulations result in unnecessary hardship. Okay, I don't think there's any necessary hardship if you deny this variance. The spirit of the ordinance shall be observed and substantial justice done. What is justice? Justice is when I moved there 15 years ago, after spending 20 plus years in the military, moving onto an acreage, moving onto a place where I can have livestock in a rural environment in a neighborhood. And now it's getting changed. That's not justice. There is no unnecessary hardship to the current property owner. And if there is, they have to show.
And sure.
Okay, they have to show multiple things, and I'll summarize it real quick. The land in question cannot yield a reasonable return. That's not true.
And I'm gonna stop you there. This isn't a variance, it's a conditional use permit, so we're on a little bit different tangent there, but we
Okay.
appreciate your time, so we're ready for the next person if they can come up.
Hello, I'm Jim Dayton. I live on Grace Circle. I agree with everything Larry said, and my big concern is what happens, I mean, if Moores decide to leave and this is zoned for commercial, what can it turn in after that? Can it turn into a bar? And then can they have more than 125 people? And I work with OPS, and I work at Northwest High School. They've already had one shooting, and I would not want 125 of those kids in my backyard. And I think the Fountains had a similar incident where they had a graduating class from North High there, and it got to be a security problem, and they were very much concerned. They were using drugs, and a lot of them have guns. Our kids in Glenwood, a gun is a tool on a farm, and they hunt with guns. In the city, guns are a way of life that they keep in their vehicles, and I see it all the time. So that's my big one, is it could turn into something down the road. It could bring down our property values, the traffic, the safety, the security, and Glenwood's motto, the best of both worlds. We moved out here to be in the country and to have a quiet place to live. Thank you very much.
What was your name again, sir?
Jim Dayton.
Jim Dayton, thank you.
Mhm.
Phil Thomas.
I'm sorry?
Phil Thomas,
Bill Thomas, thank you.
906 Grace Circle. And we moved from Bellevue to get away from the city life. We enjoy the privacy, we enjoy the neighbors, although they're not right on your, we each have an acre, 2 or 3. And our property value is going to take a dive when midnight, the club will open up in our neighborhood. Have 70 cars. I don't know how it'll be parked. The 200 57th Street that comes in off of Gaston, I believe it is, or 256. Anyway, that's supposed to be a county road, but they've never accepted it as a county road. They don't plow it, they don't maintain it. It's up to us as owners now. We're going to lose the peace and serenity of living in the country, trade it in for something that we have no control over. There's a lot of terms that were in the presentation that are kind of nebulous terms. You know, so it could change with the next property owner. I'm not saying these people are trying to slip something by us. I don't believe that, but they can't control who might, you know, own the property after they feel like they want to retire and be done with it. Probably I won't be alive to argue the point, but we like the sound of coyotes in the yard and not bands. And we feel it would be a detriment to our property value. We own 3 acres there and the top of the hill, and we're not in favor of having this, so we would be voting against it. I can go along with those who spoke before. Thank you.
Bill?
I'm Pat Thomas. I'm his other half.
Pat?
Okay. When we moved here 20 years ago, we moved here for a specific reason: country living, quiet. We have 20 grandchildren, and when they come, we fill up our 3 acres, and we feel very safe with having them there because of where we live. We look out, we see a beautiful sunset. We can see a beautiful sunrise. And my greatest concern is the security, the garbage that there will be. And I'm sure that they will take care of it. But I kept hearing from him over that we want to do this and we're going to do this. Well, I'm just really concerned that, well, that didn't work. So, you know, I want it very clear cut. And I'm just very, very concerned about our property value for us personally, even though the money, I'm sure it will increase. Our taxes have increased substantially since we have been there. But we love it here. We love the peace and quiet. We love our neighbors. We only go 5 miles an hour up the hill. I get concerned about somebody who misses their 2 lanes and comes into ours and spins around and goes back out again. My grandkids, I'm concerned for me even, because we like to go for walks and we do that every day. And so I would appreciate it if you would consider that. Nothing personal with them. They're good people. And we've watched him take care of the dirt and everything around there. But we've been here 20 years and we feel like we are being served an injustice if you take this. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Keep opening back and forth. That's why I keep looking at it.
My name's Jacqueline Gray. I sent you a letter.
Okay, that's what I was doing, and not to be rude when Jim was up there, I was trying to find the letter from everybody. Okay.
Basically wholeheartedly agree with everything that everybody has said against this. We moved out here 10 years ago from Bellevue to get away from the rat race. We enjoy the quiet. We have great neighbors. Everybody walks around with their dogs, with their kids. And my concern is this is not a large property that they want to put this venue on. 70 cars is a lot for a couple of acres. And that property is right on Gaston. It's not even that far. You know, where there's traffic, yeah, there's going to be traffic. And security, that's another concern. Is there going to be alcohol served in these venues?
Address us, not them. Sorry.
Well, is it?
We can ask those questions after you. That's your concern. We'll ask those questions.
Yeah. Okay. But again, it's just, you know, we like our peace and quiet. That's why we moved out there. none of us have a problem with, a business that has intermittent traffic. That's not an issue. It's a venue that you're getting a large portion of people driving in and out. And noise. And, who knows what goes on. So that's my.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Patrick Dick, also on Gray Circle. Just kind of echo a lot of the same things that have been said. Much like everybody else, it seems like in our neighborhood, we moved to Gray Circle for the same reasons. We looked for 3 or 4 years to find property that we did. We've only lived there about a year in this month. So, and that's the thing that we enjoy the most is the peace and quiet. And that's really my biggest concern, in addition to what will happen to our property values with a venue going right next door. So, and to their point, they talked about adding more trees to dampen the sound. In 10 or 15 years, maybe it would add sound dampening. Trees aren't a short-term solution. It's kind of a long game, trees. So, those are really my biggest concerns. As far as the access, Gaston's a fairly, it's got, I would say, moderate traffic on Gaston right now. I think there'll be a lot more traffic, especially on the weekends when everybody's home. So, and then, the sound, that's the big one. It's their venue's going to host events when people are going to be at home trying to relax. So, sitting outside on my deck and watching a sunset, it's not going to be the same type of peace that it is now. So, that's all I have.
Thank you, Patrick. Anybody else for public comment?
Hannah Dayton. And I agree with what everybody says. We are residents. We are not commercial. And we like to keep it that way. And agriculture's great because, but commercial, that's different. That's a different thing. And it shouldn't be around so close to residential. It's just way too close. All the other venues in this area, there's a lot of space. And this is right next, especially to the home ends. It's smack next to them. And they moved there, like they said, for residential and agriculture. And our residential area, the kids are out playing and they use our road because they, and, we enjoy the peace. It's very beautiful and the wildlife is beautiful. And everyone in this moved here for the country lifestyle. And that would change. And it wouldn't be so desirable if anyone did have to move to sell it. That's what we all moved out there for. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
I'm the property adjoining it to the east.
Christina, correct?
Christina. And I'm also a real estate agent. I show properties all the time. And I can tell you, if I go to sell my property and I say, here, but don't worry about the weekends, just there might be music, might be loud music, because even if your building is sound barrier, those doors come open, it gets hot. People open the doors. I was just at a wedding last weekend. I couldn't even stay in the room. So we walked out. And I totally think it would change the desirability of our property when we go to sell. And it could be, who knows when, it might be 5 years, 2 years, 20 years. but, and we don't know what's gonna happen if more sell. What's gonna happen to it then? So I just wanted to say, as a real estate agent, it would definitely affect it.
Thank you. Is there any additional public comment? We did receive a dozen or so, some of the people that spoke here, we've all read those. Before I go into staff, for a couple of things that came up, what is the plan for, in your business plan for alcohol sales?
We will apply for a liquor.
You guys think of any other questions you want to ask yours?
Or could you clarify though, we're not rezoning, right? It's still.
It's not a zoning classification.
Yeah, it's not rezoning.
Right, I was gonna ask Matt that.
It's just a conditional use permit. It's permitted in the area with a conditional use permit. It's not a variance, it's a conditional use permit. Am I correct in saying that, Matt?
Correct, the conditional use permit is exactly that, is a permit that is granted based on certain conditions that can either limit on neighbors and or on the environment, which is
You plan to run this off the existing septic, or are you gonna put in a larger septic to be able to handle it?
There'll be another.
On that deal, Ted, I did call the Mills County Public Health. And I talked to, man, I forgot his last name.
Matt Scott.
Matt Scott. And I said, what would be abnormal for a wedding venue? And he said, normal would be like two 1,500 gallons tanks and 500 to 600 feet of laterals. And obviously off the field, and the well's got to be 100 feet from the surface in the field.
If you look, Pat, on where we have all the circled it, and it's both room, it's on the very east side. There is ample room there for one lateral. It's not part of it at all. And I have to talk to Matt myself. I don't know if there are, when you have capacity, if that makes a difference on the size of that acid. We are gonna level this one.
Well, these would be determined if something like this was approved, you'd have to go through all the different building codes and make sure that you went with the building codes and the septic codes and any Iowa state electrical codes and anything over it.
We would be following all of that, obtaining all the necessary permits. There would not be any steps that would be skipped.
Is the neighbor to the west here, directly to the west?
No.
That was the last.
No, that's the home that is right here.
To the west
Okay,
is
yeah.
Tim and Jody Hahn.
They're not here.
There.
Did they send a letter?
They did not. I made it correct.
Curious on that, if anybody was. This one was not signed. Okay. We've got some questions to get us started. If I can bring the staff report real quick. Real quick.
So for the staff report, I know, there's a lot of times where we talk about the conditional use in the area, but I went and and had Audra pull some figures back for us because I had concerns over the size of these parcels and the number of attendees that would potentially be there trying to have that. So you look at the other social hall ones that are in this county right now, you have the Bellaterra, that's on 8 acres, Fountain sitting on 6.49 acres. The Vega is 14.31 acres. There's a Hillsdale Lily, that's on 3.4 acres. The Castle's on 25 acres. Howland Holler, 20 acres, and the Best Nest Farm area is on 23.6 acres. And then I really went back to what the Mills County zoning ordinance has in there for the board to consider as far as what the applicants, when they should come in. I mean, right now, I think they have a good, what I would say with it was been expressed to the board is a broad idea of a venue, right? We don't have an engineered site plan. We don't have engineered plans for a building. We don't have we don't have layouts for the interior of a building. You know, it's, so when we see projects like this come before us, a lot of times those are the kind of items that we get. So we can see traffic flows. We know there's emergency vehicle access, availability in and out of the site on there. And so at this time, I would tell my recommendation to the board would be that the application currently being denied, and it's based on the following findings of fact, and that would be is that the applicant has failed to show that the proposed use would not involve any activities substantially increasing the traffic movement on the public street unless procedures are instituted to limit the traffic hazards and congestion. Number two is that the adequate measures have been or will be taken to provide ingress and egress designed to minimize traffic congestion in the public streets. Number three is that the proposed use should not include any noise which is objectionable in volume or beat unless muffled or otherwise controlled. And that is really kind of centers down on that agricultural residential district, which the Mills County zoning ordinance lists out as the residential agricultural district recognizes residential development in and around the Les Hills region where slopes are low and moderate and there is significant demand for residential development. The land within this district is likely to continue being subdivided or otherwise used for low density residential development. The county should encourage conservation subdivision development and community wastewater systems when possible.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
What was the total acreage on the site?
The proposed is on 3.5. And it may not show that on Beacon right now, it's redrawn.
Well, I understand where Matt's coming from with it, and I understand the public comment on everything. I'm looking at it as it's kind of the venue spot where it's at, being close to the home end property. It's right next to it, and the house is the furthest away from it. I'm just wondering if there's a give and take on any of that or not.
I think part of that would not be able to engineers, keep the architects and engineers involved in it. If you wanted to do a layout like that, they're going to kind of think those concerns about, well, you have neighbors right here with horses. You know, I know that existing building that's there, you can never use that for a venue. I mean, the cost associated with trying to turn that thing into a commercial standard building would outweigh the renovation of it. I mean, you're talking about, you'd be looking at something more like a pre-engineered steel building, and then all of your interior improvements on it. That's probably, I'm guessing that's probably a pole barn with post footings on it.
So what you're saying, Matt, in a nutshell, is that it'd be nice to see a better layout, how it would affect the direct neighbor especially at night, consider everybody else in the gray circle also. But right now, the direct neighbor and then what kind of traffic flows once it was at capacity and it showed the 70 cars that were parked somewhere and something like that.
Yeah, well, and that's on the traffic piece of it. I mean, that's a real concern. You're talking about 70 cars that probably, let's say, 20 of them show up ahead of time, right? 50 of them are showing up for the event. So they're rolling in at one time to get it. Then are you talking about backups on Gaston trying to get into the parking lot to get parked? And then at the time, the proposal of it was, you know, hey, we're just gonna be out there until about 11 o'clock at night. Most of the times if you're doing anything outdoors like that, especially, you know, things that close, I mean, it's 10 o'clock maximum would be everything outside needs to be shut down. And then then you're talking about getting those 70 cars out of that property. Then what we'd have to look at then is what is their light glare as they're swinging around through the parking lot or out of there. That becomes a complaint factor on our is the way that, you know, they get in their car, fire up their headlights. Well, maybe they're all parked to the neighbor to the west. And so at 10, 11 o'clock at night, every time his house is getting lit up with headlights, and trees are a line of defense, but it is like, if I could say that it's kind of a future line of defense. What the immediate piece that we look at to try to nail that light glare down and get that traffic back out on there. I mean, it's looking at it just from that development aspect. It's a tough site to put something like this in.
I agree. I think, you know, over the years, we see a lot of conditional use permits, and I always want to approve them because, number one, it's legal. It's your property or landowner. And this is allowed in our zoning. And 2 times over the years, I've been on the zoning board a long time. Our county's been sued because we denied something, but they did everything right. And it was in our zoning laws that it was okay to do. So I think we have to be very careful if we're going to deny something. But that being said, I agree with property values decrease in the adjacent properties. And I see the properties that are going up the gray circle. I can see how they really wouldn't be, in my opinion, wouldn't be affected that much. The traffic is going to Gaston, none of it's going on Gray Circle. You've got a lot of space between you and the property. But obviously, the property to your east and west would have a direct effect on that. And, you know, no matter what conditional use permit that we come before them, everybody comes and says, oh, it's going to decrease our property value. A lot of times I don't believe that. In Mills County, I mean, in this, I can see that in this situation. And I kind of agree. I mean, I'd like to see something with the stuff more centralized in the property and away from your neighbors. And in the past, when we have, you know, conditional use permits, we usually try to approve them because it's a legal thing to do, but we can put on conditions. So we usually talk about what conditions that the neighbors would like to be good neighbors. And, you know, I don't think we've ever had a wedding venue before. I mean, we've had gun shops, there's been, you know, cell towers, there's been logging, there's been all kinds of other stuff. This is unique. And I don't know, I think we need to be careful if we're not going to prove it because this is something that's legal. And, you know, everybody, you know, moves to the country and we don't want someone moved next door to ruin our view. You know, I've lived in the country here since '91. We got neighbors that like to shoot their guns. Drives my wife crazy. But what can we do? It's legal in the country. You know, on the other side of that fence is not your property. And a good landowner that pays their taxes, if it's legal, you know, they have a right to do that too.
However, we have to think ag residential. This isn't necessary residential and it's not ag. So you have to look at it from that aspect.
But our board of supervisors went through that when we went through zoning in 2008, and I was there, and they decided what
could be a conditional use permit and what could not. So that's not ours to say that this shouldn't be one. I mean, our county supervisors, that's not in our power. We're a volunteer board. They decided what could be a conditional use permit. not
But
us.
the definition of AR is written. And you can't deter from it.
You're saying that board of supervisors should not have allowed that, is what you're saying?
I'm just saying if we need to look at the ag residential definition of what it is and not read into it.
I believe Bellaterra is on.
With what Pat said about being careful. I agree, but at the same time, I have considerable issues with the traffic. As an example, people that do not know the area are gonna come down Barris Road, they're gonna miss that turn. And they're gonna have to go around, and they're gonna try to turn around on that curve and come back down that road. You know, all these cars try to leave, you're gonna have people that are not familiar with the area, and it's gonna be issues the same way. The other thing I have an issue with, and as you pointed out, we have no idea at all what type of building you want to put there. And so, and as far as the septic, you say you plan to put one, and we have no idea what's going to be put in for the septic. And I feel unless you would come back with exact engineering plans, everything as to what it is you plan to do, so we could actually look at trying to fit that on this small piece of property. I can't see where we can approve it.
And I would apologize, Ted, on my naivete as far as how this process goes, because what Carrie and I thought was that we didn't want to put a lot into this as far as time and money without knowing we could get actual approval and then go about, you know, the rest and finalize. But I understand exactly what your concern is, because I have not, only for the sheer fact I wasn't going to spend a lot of money on that process and that, and then, you know, not have the opportunity to be able to get the permit. So.
And I really do believe one of your biggest issues is going to be the traffic and traffic control. Trying to park those cars in there, the headlights when they go to leave, we've had issues with that before, where we had to consider the headlights on the highways. People came by for a venue that I can't remember which one it was. For the way the headlights would sweep through the residential area there. But more than that is just the safety issue with 75 cars trying to leave and the 2-lane highway there and people not being familiar with it. It's not in an ideal location to get to for a wedding venue. You know, the roads just don't lend themselves to it.
Can I ask a question? Is everybody aware that that's a 55-mile-per-hour road? Yeah,
Yes.
it is. Okay.
I want to add, was able to speak to Lonnie and Richard at this morning's Board of Supervisors meeting and talking about who was going to come to tonight's meeting. And then I mentioned what was going to be on the agenda for tonight. And when we kind of mentioned just very briefly about the wedding venue that would be on the agenda and then where it was at, you know, all three of us really had some concerns when it came to traffic. And our sheriff is out of county right now. He's on a hunting trip, but I know he would have the same concerns. I mean, going north there on 250th Street, you see people all the time turning in off of 250th or turning onto 250th and not really paying attention to their surroundings. I drive that road basically every single morning to get from Henderson to the courthouse, and it is not exactly a safe road. I have some concerns with that, and it is a 55-mile-per-hour road. In addition to that, with how many acres it is, you know, we're talking 3.5 acres. Bellaterra, 8 acres. Fountains Ballroom is 6.5 acres. Fountains Ballroom is practically by itself. There's nothing that surrounds it except a small Airbnb house that the people who own the fountains also own themselves. And the same thing with Bellaterra. So this is quite compact for what is being considered and very close to the Holman's property. In addition to that, it's really hard to come up with a conditional use permit and to be able to put in specifics when you really don't have specifics of what the property will be when it is built.
The other thing is, I mean, if it did get approved, there would definitely be conditions. When Matt first did it, there were 7 conditions.
you know, something to consider too. You know, I don't think anybody's gonna approve it again after 10 PM outside events. And parking, all that stuff. It's a very strong argument that it's gonna be hard to fit all that in that property and be safe.
I have a question. On one of the letters, you guys currently do a floral business out of this property? From the property?
Yeah. It is not a retail.
I just.
Oh, so you just do them for free? You don't make money off of it?
No, I do like gardening and things like that, but I don't.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly how this should be worded, but I'm gonna make a motion not to approve. But they could come back with the information that we've asked about on what type of building, what would the building be, how would the traffic control? But I don't know how we would want to word that.
Architectural plans.
When you do that, would you add in that they should meet with the county sheriff and county engineer?
Well, that would be with what they would need to return with.
I'd like them to meet with those
I
two.
mean, how would we word that?
Much like, just like you just did.
Just did.
Okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we do not approve, if they can return with the engineering information we need after meeting with the county sheriff, county engineer,
For reconsideration.
and we can reconsider it.
Or you deny it or you table it? Yeah. What would be the difference, Matt?
They'd have to reapply.
If it's denied,
So, no,
If it's tabled, they don't have to reapply there's not another fee.
so a lot of times on conditional uses, if you've been denied that conditional use, then you have to bring new information to be able to reapply for it. They couldn't turn around tomorrow and reapply in the same application and say, we would like to reapply because they're not offering any new information or anything for the board to reconsider. So you can deny the application, they can bring in new information and supporting documents, and it would go back through the same process again. The neighbors would be re-notified again, a public hearing would be set again. And there would be opportunity for review of the documents, and public comment at that time. Coming up against what they did today, obviously I'd recommend those things and some neighbor outreach, to beforehand with their new documents to show what their proposed idea would be, kind of go over that with them.
but if we table it, they don't need to do it, they wouldn't have to do any of that.
If you table it, they wouldn't have to do any of that, but then you're not gonna have the opportunity
Right.
for the.
I'm just trying, I just hate to see them have to pay $350 again to be able to come back and do it, but I wouldn't want them to come back without all the information.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is having all the information is what the board's asking for, and the supervisor and probably themselves to find out where it fits and if it, once an engineer lays it out, if it does fit. I know one thing I just look at from the beginning is if the venue would be flipped all the way over the west side. But that's just me looking at it.
So your west neighbor never sent a letter and did not respond then? So do you think their neighbors are okay with it the way it is?
Those two have verbally told us they're.
If it stays on.
Well, no, they didn't put in stipulations.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Well, I think it needs to be the way that you're asking for it, Ted.
Right.
So deny your table, what are you saying?
No, it would be denied and ask them have a new presentation that shows all the required things that you asked for and Supervisor Jack asked for.
Yeah, it makes sense to me too. It's like, just like Jack said, this is a venue on a very small parcel, really, for a venue, for a wedding venue. So the engineer's got to come up with some unique answers, I think.
Okay, is there a motion?
What's the motion again to deny the application?
Deny the application as is. Is there a period of time after denied application until they can come back and reapply?
Well, I mean, it'd be at least 30 days because publication.
That's
applications.
Audra, by chance, did you write down how Ted stated that?
That's how I mumbled through that.
To deny, however, come back in with info requested. But to deny the application as is. And then
Plus that they, when they returned, that they were within the engineering information we wanted.
right, reconsideration.
Right.
Within.
And also that they meet with the sheriff and the county engineer.
Can you put in there that the fee could be waived in a certain amount of time? Is that something that we could do?
We can do that.
I don't know if that's something that you can do.
I think it's only the board of supervisors.
I was told because of the cost, they gotta post it in the paper again, it's gonna all.
Are you gonna second it, Heather?
I'll second it. Yeah.
You made the motion.
I made.
You made the motion.
I'll second it too, makes sense.
So we have a motion from Ted to deny with stipulations read. We have a second by Heather.
Yeah.
We have roll call, please.
Collins,
This is yes to deny.
Correct.
Olga,
Yes.
Light,
Yes.
Warren's absent. Gentlemen,
Yes.
That's it for that. You might stay after the meeting and maybe talk to Matt and Jack and maybe figure out what would be the best angle, if there is an angle. And what I mean by that is who to go to, because the cost of it, like you said at the beginning, could be substantial. Were any other business?
Other business, there's two things. Number one is an update for you on your outside counsel for an attorney. I only was able to secure one person to submit a proposal for that. That was Lee Greenwald with Baird Home. Baird Home has worked with the county before on some solar and wind items. And so he is in the process, because he has done some work for Mid-AM. Now he's in the process of getting an anti-conflict statement put together that both Mid-AM and the county can agree on, because if anything were to happen between Mid-AM and the county, he would obviously be representing Mid-AM. But he's
Except for the landfill stuff?
Yes.
Okay, okay. I thought so.
He is gonna be able to, and I just asked him to let me know next steps on when he would like to start seeing some documentation and things. We will all start reviewing documents on that. But he's been great with the past. Absolutely. He's a lawyer. He is an attorney. He's a very good attorney.
Well, I thought the main thing was the fees merged.
It is.
That's the main
That-
thing.
that is-
for-
that is-
Part of it.
Yep.
part of it.
And look into the legal, whether or not that is legal to do, along with whatever other conditions that can be put into the conditional use permit. So it's kind of over.
Look at the conditions, make sure from conditions put in there, it's not applicable to it. Do they need to be adjusted at all? Plus, community fee, is the host community fee something that we're legally able to do, or is it? That's what I'll do for that. And then the open Iowa, the state of Iowa did have a new law that went into effect, July 1. Any appointed board by the Board of Supervisors, any new members from them would have to do the online hour-long training course on open meetings. And I know it does state in there new members, but I will email out for all of you. If you have an opportunity to sit down and you want something to take a good nap to for an hour, you know, whatever the case may be, but it would help out to just, it's always a good refresher. Open meetings laws, they're complicated, but we all need to know them. And so it's an hour-long video that I sectioned together that you can watch.
It's probably better than reading the like 50-page document that they give you to.
Yeah, just read.
I never made through.
Chapter 21, chapter 22 can be rough, so.
So can you explain how this kind of works? So we got outside counsel. So we have a paid attorney, paid assistant attorney.
Talking about the county.
The county, yes. But they're not involved? I mean, do they work in conjunction with our attorney and assistant attorney?
No, Lee is going to, so the reason why we went with outside counsel is because Lee is a land use attorney. He works in this area, right, of planning, concepts, of those things. So he has the expertise in that area. Deshaun and John do not necessarily have the expertise in that area. And so when they look at something, Lee is going to be able to look at it from a different aspect. He's going to know the case law that falls behind it. He's going to know where to go to get these answers on that. So it will be independently.
So our county is gonna pay him legal fees to do this.
Up to $3,000 right now. So we budget in every year. The building department has a budget for this every year. This year's got $5,000 in it. So I asked the board to approve up to $3,000 currently for him. I mean, it is.
So all our county would gain is in, right now, Potawatomi County has a lower per rate per ton than Millstown. Which when I found that out, I thought, how can that be? It's in our county. How come Potawatomi County pays less? So all we would basically gain for that is maybe an equal to Potawatomi.
Well, I don't know.
Right? What are we gonna gain from our outside counsel?
Well, having outside legal counsel is talking us through, like I said, the actual specifics of what we can put into the conditional use permits to not only talk about a host fee, but to talk about the surrounding area around the landfill, how to mitigate the trash, how to mitigate the traffic, how to mitigate all those things. So it's all part of one. And, you know, we have, we all know there's a lot of problems with the landfill, a lot of problems bringing trash all around the river bottom, all the way to the landfill itself. A lot of problems with trash blowing and going all across the county, especially over on the middle and eastern side of the county. Then we have the landfill that's charging us a rate that is often $20 higher than places across the river. So I think $3,000 is very fair to see how we can get a better deck of playing cards in this scenario.
Okay. Okay. So is that gonna be next month, the meeting then?
That's what I'm hoping to have it. Yes, we got, you know, when you have Mid-American lawyers looking at an agreement, and then our county attorneys will look at this non-conflict agreement. We got to get a conflict agreement done.
Say Mid-American Energy?
Because the attorney currently.
The lawyer did some work with Mid-American.
So he doesn't want to have conflict of interest for $100,000 to screw up this whole. Yeah. Right, is there a motion for the meeting to be adjourned?
With you,
Not yet.